Hey guys, this is Chris Nell, the host of No Holding Back. Today we'll be talking about movie theaters versus movie streaming services. Why are we talking about this today? Let me tell you why, okay? We're going to get into it right now. So, going back to the beginning of the corona pandemic, okay? A lot of our favorite movies that were in production were put on pause, and a lot of movies that were already filmed that were supposed to be coming out in the following months were unfortunately pushed back, delayed, and these movies are already filmed. And we won't be able to see these movies anytime soon, you know, because we don't know what's going to happen next because of the coronavirus. It might be pushed again, it might be delayed. We don't know to expect. And this is why our argument is relevant today because streaming services gives us what we want at a faster pace, and we already know it won't be delayed because all we need to do is pay for the app, you know, make sure we pay monthly, make sure that we, make a list of all the movies that we're interested in. It's all going to be there for you. You click on any movie you want from the past, the recent, present, okay? And that's it. All our movies are there. You have Netflix, HBO Max, Amazon Prime Video, you have Disney Plus now, all those, and also Apple TV. Sorry about that. You have so many streaming services offered to you. Why go to the movies? And that begs the question of today's topic: should movie streaming services be the primary focus when it comes to distributing new movies? And with that being said, we have David helping us today covering that controversy. So, David, you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hey everybody, I'm David. Thank you, Chris, for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. So I want to get your take on it. Basically, I want to hear the pros and cons. I want to hear what you have to say about this right now. Okay, do you side with a particular uh, side right now, or are you stuck in the middle?
I would say a little bit of both. They both have a lot of pros and cons, but I would say with streaming services, the fact of convenience, it's very convenient. You could watch it at any time in your house or anywhere where you are, as long as you have a device and you're subscribed to one of these channels, then you're great. For that alone, I would almost say I prefer the streaming services, but what it lacks is the big experience of being in a movie theater with the audience and the whole ambiance of that. That's definitely something that you don't get with the streaming services. But uh, I understand that, and I still enjoy it very much.
Yeah, and going back to movie theaters, why it's so compelling for us to get out of our houses and go. So not only do you have, you know, big blockbuster movies coming out, superhero movies like Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Captain America, and so on, okay? Right now, superhero movies have been taking over the industry, and they're so much more compelling once you sit down into a movie theater because the audience engages with the movie. You have their audience reaction, either if they're crying, they're laughing, they're yelling, they're 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 just grabbing their seats in anticipation of what's gonna happen next. You know,
Yeah,
that's the beauty
I
of a movie theater. You don't get that reaction because there is not really an audience when you're watching a movie with your dog. With your dog, sorry about the voice crack. The dog, the popcorn in your microwave that literally took a minute and 30 seconds. And you sit down on your couch and you can literally pause the movie whenever you want, go to the washroom. So yeah, it takes away from the distractions what a lot of clients deal with when they go to a movie theater. You have people getting up, in your way, always ruining the movie. You can't really grasp on what the characters are saying because people are making too much noise. They're yelling, especially if it's a horror movie and there's a lot of teenagers. They're ruining the experience for you. But if you're home, you don't need to deal with those problems.
yeah,
But the
that's
problem is that sitting down, by yourself doesn't give the same atmosphere as a movie theater would. And not only that, pausing a movie every 25 seconds to go to the washroom, answer a text message, I feel like it just kills the whole mood of the movie itself. You're not going to enjoy it as much. And that's why I think in that aspect, movie theaters are more superior.
Oh, I definitely see your point, and I understand that. Let's say you watch an Avengers movie at home, and you watch it in a theater. It's as if you're watching two separate movies almost. When I saw Avengers Endgame in the theater, so many moments where I was shocked, and it was just great and great memories that you'll remember. And then when I rewatched it at home, while watching it, I was like, oh, at this part, I was getting goosebumps when Captain America, was fighting Thanos, for example. So things like that, I think movie theaters definitely have the advantage. Uh, it adds to the experience, like we said earlier. Um,
Exactly.
and I do believe that constantly pausing does kill the mood a bit. But I'll be honest, a movie like The Irishman, for example, that's strictly on Netflix with big time actors, that's a movie where I personally didn't watch it in one sitting. I had to stop halfway through and watch it maybe the next day.
Yeah,
So
and unfortunately,
it could
movies are
be a
way
benefit.
too long.
Yeah.
And, I just feel that sometimes when a movie's just way too long, basically make it into a mini series, and put it in segments, part one, two, and three, so at least people could take a break and enjoy that movie, especially that movie came out on a movie streaming service. People are not going to sit down for 3.5 hours, just watching that movie. By that time, you have your friends texting you, you got like 25 phone calls, your popcorn was literally finished within the first 20 minutes of the movie, you're hungry, you got to go back up and go make yourself another thing to get through the movie. I just feel like movies like that on streaming services are way too long. At least when you go to the movie theater, you're forced to sit down. Because if you get up and you distract the audience from watching a very compelling movie like that, you're gonna get destroyed by people.
Yeah.
People are gonna get mad at you.
Yeah. Well, that in a sense, I would almost say is a positive for the streaming service. Let's say you have to go to the bathroom halfway through a movie when you're watching it in the theaters. You're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss. What if I miss a big part? So you're less likely to get up and leave. When you're at home, you have the liberty to do whatever you want. You can watch it wherever, and you can do whatever you want. So I think in that sense, the movie theater has a bit of an. Sorry, the streaming service has a bit of an advantage. Personally, maybe that's just a bit of bias because I personally prefer the streaming services more. Um, but with that being said, it's the whole ambiance of a movie theater that makes you think, wow, this is going to be something nice. The commercials prior that kind of get you hyped up,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Especially for a
walking
country
in,
movie.
even if you don't go play, on the bumper cars or whatever, just seeing that it brings back memories from when you were a kid. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, like the commercials, like you were saying, they propel us to be more excited for what's to come, and what draws us back into that specific movie theater or any movie theater in general, because we want to watch those specific movies that we saw the commercials to, because we think maybe that's a fantastic or interesting movie that interests us, and we're willing to pay the money, you know, when
yeah.
that movie comes out. But here's the thing, okay? A big controversy that everyone always has to start a debate about, okay? Is the food at a movie theater way too expensive, and is it really worth it?
I think when you're paying for the food, you're paying for, once again, the whole experience. Kind of like when you go to the Bell Center, a hot dog's like what, $4? You pay because you're at the Bell Center, you know.
Yeah.
So you pay because you're at the movie theater. They put it right in the middle, bunch of lights. They make it so that's the first thing you see, and they're like, oh, maybe I could get I don't know, a slushy or something.
And they put it right in the middle of the movie theater
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And whichever way you're going, you gotta cross paths with this big uh food station, right? So one way or another, you're not gonna. There's no way you're not gonna see it. You can ignore it, but there's no way that you're not gonna see it. And I think that's very smart of them to do that, to be honest. But I would say that it is overpriced.
Yeah, especially when the food doesn't really come out as the picture portrays it.
Yeah, that's true
You
too.
know how many times I would buy a pizza that looks fantastic in the photo that's presented above, and then I get the pizza and it's all burnt, or it tastes horrible. Like the sauce tastes like pure ketchup, you know.
Yeah,
Um, then I'm like wondering, why did I dish out $10 to pay for this? Might as well just stay home, wait for the movie to come out on the streaming service, and I could order whatever I want. Then I could even order a pizza at a pizzeria, and it's gonna
yeah,
taste better.
yeah. It will taste better. It's probably going to be a bit more expensive, but you're paying for the quality, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of people prefer staying home, because they have access to whatever they want to eat. And yeah, they're gonna have to wait for that particular movie to come out, but they don't need to spend money on gas too. You know, going to a movie theater, you gotta think about three things. Okay, you gotta think about the consumption of gas and how much it's gonna cost, how much a movie ticket is gonna cost, and how much the food's gonna cost. And a lot of people are not willing to pay $50 and or maybe even close to 100, depending how much gas you spent to go to a movie theater, how much uh, money you're spending on food, you know, just to watch a 2-hour movie. And sometimes the movie could be a complete disaster, and you're just scratching your head at the end of the movie when the credits are rolling. You're like, why did I spend this much money tonight?
Yeah, I agree with that.
you know Unless you go on a date, or like it's a family like event, and you guys all go together, and you're like, you know what, I had a good time with the people that I went with, so it was worth it. But let's say, like, I've been to movies by myself once, and that was when I went to watch Thor Ragnarok. And I met this lovely couple that was very nice to me, and they spoke to me about the movie and how they felt about it, and like, how much of an upgrade it was from the past two movies of that trilogy. You know, and me thinking going to the movie by myself is probably gonna be the most depressing and like the biggest loser thing anybody can do. But to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that, and knowing that there's people I could like have conversations with, even though I'm by myself, like, it's a nice way to meet people too. And without movie theaters, we wouldn't have access to that, to share our opinions, to, you know, share our reactions and make friends, sometimes, literally someone reacts to something to a scene right next to you, and you react the same way, and you look at each other, you start laughing, and then it leads into a conversation. When you're doing that at home, there's no one else to talk to besides your dog barking at the mailman that just dropped off mail while you're watching your 2-hour movie. And you have to put it on pause to go get the mail. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
know what
Like,
you mean.
there's so many things like at home that ruin the beauty of watching a film.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that point. But to be honest with you, I think the pros outweigh the cons on that. As much as the constant pausing kind of screws it up. Uh, you can watch it anywhere in your house or anywhere wherever you want, and to me, that's a very valuable pro. You can you can do whatever you want, and that outweighs that con that you just mentioned, which is true as well.
Yeah, and you know, streaming services killed the renting and buying of
Blockbuster.
DVDs, like such as
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
Do you think that's gonna
And
happen to the movie
you
theaters?
ever,
Do you
sorry?
think that's gonna happen to the movie theaters?
That was actually going to be my next question. So I guess we'll both answer that question with our respective opinions. So me personally, I would think no, because people on a Friday night or Saturday night that are really bored and cannot think of anything for a date night or just a get together with friends, you know, and they're not really up to really, dressing, at their best, or maybe they're really tired, just want to sit down and just talk or whatever, maybe just watch something. And that's where the factoring of a movie theater comes in. A movie theater allows you to sit down, relax, and watch something that's presented to you. Yeah, you got to pay for a ticket, you got to pay for the food, but you're enjoying yourself at the same time, you know so a lot of people need an excuse to go outside,
Yeah.
and they just, what, I could stay home and watch Netflix for the rest of my life. The thing is that I'm gonna become a homebody probably overweight, and very lazy. I don't. That kills the whole movie principle in completely. Like a movie is meant to go to a movie theater and watch that movie, okay, and react with the audience, eat what is available for you to buy, you know? And, I know movie theaters have been trying to upgrade a lot to compete or to at least be better, have an edge on the streaming services. So, like, they would add like a D box, so like the chairs are moving every time, like, there's a big action sequence, you know? Um, Maybe 3D, obviously, a big factor into why people are interested. But I know a lot of people that hate 3D. Like, when I used to work at a movie theater, okay? I used to have people come in and be like, uh, yeah, sir, I would like to watch this particular movie, but not in 3D because it gives me headaches. Yeah, 3D gives people headaches. It's a pro and a con because I think 3D is more appealing to people who are younger, and not only that, people that want to watch like a Marvel movie or a superhero movie because it's more compelling. You feel like you're there. It's more interesting for you to watch.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I personally not the biggest fan of 3D, but I've seen 3D movies before, and it was a nice experience. It just adds to the whole idea of the theater experience, right? And for that
Yeah.
reason, just to answer your question from before, I don't think theaters are gonna go extinct either. I think streaming services are gonna continue to do extremely well, and there's gonna be more and more and more, and who knows, maybe in the long run, it'll be only streaming services. But I do think that the theaters will remain alive due to that experience and just the memories that you have. People are still going to want to go to the theaters, just as you said. They're still going to want to experience the movies with other people around them. And for that reason, I think that they'll be around for a long time.
Yeah, because people just need a reason to go out and do something, and movies allow them to go out in general, but not do as much work as they want to, especially if they're really tired or if they're sad or they need to get their mind off things. But you know, movie theaters need to upgrade to be more compelling to allow clients and to give clients a reason why they should go to a movie theater. Add video games, add um, better movies, not only that, make it more compelling. So when you go into the movie theater, it feels like you're in a magical like land, as if like you're walking to like the chocolate factory in Willy Wonka. The visuals, what's offered there, the way that they present themselves.
Yeah.
Like the uniforms too. The way that everything is organized. It's not a mess. It's very proper. It's clean. It feels like you feel like you're important, that you're walking to something very majestic and like visually appealing for you. you know like the eye is something that captures things that are interesting. So vibrant lights are very appealing for somebody. When you walk in, you see, like, let's say you go to like Cineplex in Canada, right? You have um the spaceships on top, the space background on the ceiling. Uh, you know, you have like little TV screens with like questionnaires saying which actor did this movie sorry, what movie did this actor star in? And they give you like four actors to choose from. They show little previews of movies that are playing. What time, when the movies are coming out. Little mini commercials. And then not only that, the posters outside the movie theater.
Those are always appealing, especially
Yeah, those are always
you look
appealing.
at these posters and you're like, oh man, Batman's coming out in a few months. You know what I mean?
It gives you a constant reminder because people are not gonna go search up new movies coming out this year. There's a lot of like bogus on YouTube right now and like other like platforms where they make fake fan trailers to like it's clickbait, and it's not real. And then you're seeing that movie's coming out, and then you're talking to your friends, and you're like, "Yeah, did you hear that movie's coming out?" You're like, "No,
Well,
it was rumored to come out, but it got scrapped." And you're like, "Yeah, well, I saw a trailer. Well, it's probably fake."
yeah. I
you
don't know if
know?
you remember after the Dark Knight trilogy was finished. I saw like I was on Google and was like, oh man, they're gonna make a Nightwing movie. Obviously, that never happened, right? Because they edit a bunch of things to make it be perceived that way.
Yeah,
But
it happens a lot.
I wanted to ask you this question because you made a good
Yeah.
point before. You said that they need to update their things because I don't know about you, but let's take Google for example. I feel like it's the same now as it was 10 years ago.
Look, I used to work there, and I had a fantastic experience. I met a lot of good people and stuff. The owner himself, good guy and stuff. Wants the best for his business.
Yeah,
But yes, it has to upgrade because right now, Cineplex does have an edge on the Guzzo movie chain. So, they gotta be more updated. They gotta add better games. They gotta, you know, renovate a lot, make themselves more appealing, hopefully put themselves in better locations where, the highways are so people can, see where they're located and be like, oh, there's a movie theater right there. Let me go check it out so I can watch that movie that came out and you can see the big poster, Uh, you know, a lot of movie theaters fail to upgrade, and that's why it leads to their closure. And that's why you have like big franchises like AMC and Cineplex, that that are just killing it right now.
yeah,
Yeah, you have your independent movie theaters, in smaller towns that kill it because it's the only movie theater there. So everybody goes there to watch movies and stuff. I'm talking about like big cities now,
yeah. Of course.
smaller movie theaters that have the same movies as the bigger uh movie chains cannot compete against those people. And that's why, you know, they gotta I know maybe they don't have enough money to like upgrade the way that they would like to compete against those people, but they need to do something that's more appealing and different. Um the only thing that I would say about smaller movie theaters is that, let's say it's like a classic movie theater, that only plays like movies from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Yeah, it's appealing to go because it's the only movie theater, let's say, in that city that shows those kinds of movies, or they show only indie movies, which, big movie theaters wouldn't show because they only show blockbusters. So like you could see a movie like Good Times, with Robert Pattinson, like that came out 2 years ago, or uh, Uncut Gems,
Yeah, that's a
smaller movies, indie movies, independent movies, whatever you want to call them, uh, in those movie theaters, and you're like, oh my god, it's not at Cineplex, but it's in that little movie theater downtown, let's say. So let me go check that out. That's how they get their clients to show up to their movie theater. You know?
yeah. And to go to that point about uncut gems, another reason why I think maybe streaming services have an advantage is because not only do they have these great type of movies that people maybe don't know about right away, they also have the blockbusters, but they also have TV shows. So I think that's a big pro,
Yeah,
because you can watch,
of course.
for example, Breaking Bad was only on AMC and now it's on Netflix. It's been on Netflix for years and I watched it and it was a fantastic show. So that's something for, let's say you didn't have that channel, now it's on Netflix and you're like, oh crap, I can watch the show. I've heard so many great things. They won so many awards. The actors are brilliant. And that's a perfect example of why I think there's more variety. Obviously, it's a movie theater, right? It's not a TV theater. So I understand that's not the
Exactly.
fault. But
Yeah,
streaming services
yeah, I
provide
totally agree.
variety.
And then you have like, you know, Netflix, for example, they have collaborations with other like studios like NBC that's a TV channel,
Yeah,
or the CW, and the perfect examples would be like Riverdale and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So you have like the TV episodes airing like, let's say, on a Wednesday night, and then on Netflix it's gonna come out like a day or 2 days later on that streaming service. So instead of like buying the channel and all that stuff, if you own Netflix, if you own HBO Max or Disney or so on, you have it there. You just have to wait an extra day. Hopefully you're that patient. You're not that impatient, but
yeah,
it's gonna be there. Unfortunately, not every single TV show works like that because a lot of these streaming services air their own original TV shows or movies, and that's how they make a lot of money too. The the more popular these streaming services are getting, the more money they make, and they're able to acquire bigger stars. To star in the movies. The budgets are bigger.
yeah.
You know, The thing is that a common thing I've been seeing with these Netflix originals or Amazon Prime Video originals or so on is that the quality of the movie, even if they get a director and stuff, sometimes the movie's a flop.
Yeah. Did you see? I didn't watch it all. I watched like the first 20 minutes, but I think it's called Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, like
I
you
didn't.
have
I didn't
Michael
like it too
Bay
much.
directing. Yeah, I heard a lot of bad reviews about that. You have Dave Franco as a cameo for like maybe five
Yeah, for
minutes.
2 minutes.
I'm not gonna say what happens,
Well,
but
we
you
can't.
guys already, yeah, yeah. You guys could suspect what happens. You have Ryan Reynolds.
I mean,
You have
He carries.
Michael Bay directing, so you already know, like, you got two big names there. Even though Michael Bay kind of fell off the last couple of years, ever since the failed Transformer franchise failed to launch properly. After the success of the first one, uh, you know. So another thing Netflix does is that they take like dying on stars. So I love Adam Sandler, but very hit or miss nowadays. He's not very consistent. So they get his rights. Kevin James, David Spade, those guys, they're just staying relevant within the Netflix service, the streaming service right now. But outside of that, you don't see them on blockbuster movies anymore at the movie theaters. You only see them on streaming services.
Yeah,
And if you love those guys, I love those guys. I think they're hilarious. But the movie quality and the acting, it's like it's not the same as they used to be. When they used to star in blockbuster movies at the movie theater. Now, for example, HBO Max. Now this is like a whole different thing. Now they're making TV shows connected to big blockbuster movies that are going to be appearing at the movie theaters.
even
So
Disney Plus is
instead
doing
of
that.
working against the movie theaters, they're going to be propelling more people to go to the movie theaters. But at the same time, people are going to be more interested at staying home and watching TV shows and maybe like movies that are connected to bigger movies at the movie theaters.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Disney Plus is doing that with all their Marvel TV shows. They're gonna link up to the. You're gonna have to apparently watch them all and then the movies just to follow everything, right? So
Yeah,
they're trying to get you to go see everything so they can get as much revenue as possible, which makes sense. But I wanted to actually ask you this:
yeah.
Do you think it?
Go ahead.
Do you think it's harder for a streaming service to bring back their fans or the movie theater?
I think it's harder for a movie theater to bring back fans, and here's why. Okay, a streaming service right now is on the rise. They're getting better and better with the quality of movies and TV shows that are available to us. You can go back also and watch older movies that you never got a chance to watch. Okay, movie theaters. Okay, they're a little bit in a decline because these streaming services are competing with people. I mean, they're competing with movie theaters, and the audience, the clients are divided right now because you have people who want to go out and watch movies, and you have the other half of the people that want to stay home and relax and not want to pay, for food and a ticket and maybe for parking sometimes and for gas, to go watch a movie, especially if it's just a disaster.
Yeah,
Uh, but the people that do want to go and watch a movie is because they know that they will not have the same feeling if they stay home on their couch. And without the audience, without the surround system that's so much more louder and better, and depending on the TV screen you have too, if you have a HD, pl- uh, you know, TV, it's gonna look better. But let's say you have a box TV, and unfortunately, some people can't afford those bigger and better HD TVs. It's not gonna look as good, on the screen. It might, ruin the whole, uh, you know, feeling of watching that movie. The whole excitement's gonna
yeah,
be like downgraded. You're gonna be like, oh my god, this movie sucks. But in reality, just because the way it's presented on your TV that you own. If you go to a movie theater, you don't need to worry about that stuff. What's gonna be presented is gonna look fantastic on screen. Uh, the audio is gonna sound amazing, especially depending on what type of seats you wanna sit in. So if you wanna sit on the D box, So let's say you go watch an action movie and the seats are shaking like crazy and you like love it because you feel like you're in there. Or if you want to acquire 3D glasses, to watch a 3D movie and you feel like, it's amazing. But then you have people that don't like 3D glasses because it's annoying on their face, you know, uh, it gives them headaches, we have to understand one thing, okay? You can never please everybody. It's always going to be a debate
Yep.
that people are going to be divided upon. It's very hard to please people. It's impossible to please everybody. But you will have a certain percentage of people that lean towards one direction than another. And movie theaters will always stick around. It's not going to be like the outdoor or drive-in movie theaters where it died out. Eventually because you don't want to stay in your car. It consumes gas. Driving there, and not only that, like keeping the heater on or keeping the air conditioning on the whole time. Let's say it's a humid day and you roll down your windows. You're sweating like pigs and you're eating food and stuff. You're making a mess in your car.
Yeah.
Now it's popularized because of the corona outbreak. And the limitations that are presented right now. And movie theaters have opened, but there's a lot more people that would get contaminated and get the disease if they would go there in a smaller place. And everyone's gonna be like all like stuck together. There's a higher risk. And people don't want to get diseases right now. They want to stay clean and be safe. And it's totally understandable. But the thing is that movie theaters are losing a lot of money staying open compared to staying closed. Because what? You're gonna have 25 clients coming into your movie theater, and you're spending more money renting out the place and keeping it open. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think this situation that we're in is something that no, I don't. I'm pretty sure no one's ever experienced this. This is a very unique and scary thing, and the stress is really what gets you. So I understand people not wanting to go to the movie theaters. They're very scared. I understand that these workers are gonna have to work 10 times harder and have to clean things constantly, and it's gonna be a mess probably. But just to get back to what you said before about how when you're watching something at home, the negative may be because of what you're watching it on, which I agree with very much. I would say that also with movie theaters, the negative is what you're watching. What if you watch something that you think is good and it turns out to just not be what you like at all? Some people may think, "Oh man, screw this! I don't want to come back to the movie theater." Just because of that movie that they watched, and it adds to the whole idea of the atmosphere, the experience around you. If you watch a blockbuster movie, or not even a blockbuster movie, but a one-off movie, because there's not that much of that anymore. All these movies now set up big universes. If you watch this one-off movie and you're like, "Wow, this was an amazing movie," you think to yourself, "I want to come back here next time. There's something great." But if you watch something that sucks, you're gonna be like, "Maybe this wasn't worth my time, the trip, and like everything that we had said before."
Well, look, okay, getting back to the one-off movies, the standalone movies, basically, as they call it. 2019 was a big year for that. You had Joker, you
Yeah,
had Ford versus Ferrari, you had The Lighthouse, and so on. Okay, those movies are standalone movies that when I went to the movie theater, I had zero expectations for those movies, and I went there, and the theater itself was sold out after showing that movie, showing after showing, it was sold out. It stayed in the movie theaters for like 2 months, a month and a half, which is a really good time, you know, to stay within the movie theater. Then, obviously, if you have a crummy movie that is not selling tickets and it has horrible reviews, you know, the movie theater is gonna remove that movie after like a week or 2 weeks. I've seen that happen. I worked at a movie theater. Movies that didn't perform well at the box office or critically, they got removed after a week or 2 weeks.
yeah,
Then I remember like when I started working at the movie theater. I don't work there currently anymore. Um, Baby Driver came out. There
that's
wasn't a lot of hype again for Baby Driver or anything, but that movie stayed in the movie theater for close to 3 months.
that was a really good movie too.
Yeah, close to 3 months. Yeah, it was in a smaller hall, towards the end, but it doesn't matter. It was still generating money and interest from people that it was still able to have its own. hall to go into and watch that movie. Then you have big blockbusters like Justice League. Okay, that were big flops,
I didn't even
but they
watch the
were
movie. I
but they
was
were
thinking about it.
advertised like crazy.
Yeah,
That that would stay in the movie theater for like a month. You know?
yeah. But about the standalone movies, I was really just talking more about the superheroes. So like Joker, like you said, was the first probably big standalone movie since the Batman Nolan universe. Because ever since then, these you know, you got Marvel that's been trying to, and they've successfully, as we've seen, made hit after hit after hit, money wise. Same goes, well, DC not as much, but they've been trying to do that. I think the world of standalone movies are slowly coming back. You know, with future superhero movies. That's not really what this is about, but I think the more standalone movies that are great, I think the more people will be intrigued to go see what's next for that specific story. That they don't have to see 50 movies to know the story. They can just go 3 times. You know.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you with that. And with that being said, now this is the point where we reach in today's episode is where do you stand? Do you side with movie theaters? Do you side with streaming services, or are you stuck in the middle because they're equally as good and they both have cons and pros that are just take either of them surpass the other?
Uh, I enjoy both very much. I think it depends on what you're feeling. You know. If you want to just stay home and relax, it's obviously the streaming service, right? But if you want to go out, you want to have that. I know we said this a bunch of times, but the atmosphere, the experience of a movie theater, and how much fun it is, and those memories that you remember, I think they coexist very well together. But if I were to choose one, I would prefer to watch a streaming service just for the variety that it has, and I could search up anything that could have been from when I was born to when I was, you know, like 17 years old, or even before I was born. Movies I didn't even know about that are great. So for that reason, I would have to side with liking the streaming services more. How about you?
For me, I'm gonna go with movie theaters, and here's why. Okay, I've grown up with movie theaters since I was small. The reason why I'm so into movies and why I follow so many directors, specific actors and actresses, despite if they make bad movies or good movies, is because of the atmosphere of a movie theater. Going down as a kid, sitting down, with your parents, or your friends, just watching the movie and falling in love with an actor and actress or the whole genre of a movie completely all over again, over and over again. You know, that's what got me into, talking about so many movies and studying film and even like maybe even creating this podcast, the entertainment business, Um, for me, that's never gonna be a question, or I'm never gonna doubt the movie theater business ever, unless they don't upgrade. The only thing movie theaters need to do is make sure that they're appealing and their prices are affordable for a lot of people to show their faces and pay tickets, pay for tickets to pay for the movies, pay for the food and the drinks, pay for the games, and the gift cards that come with it as well. And maybe you could do birthday parties there too. But man, like the first movie I remember going to watch was Batman Begins,
Same
and
here.
honestly, it was the first time I felt excitement, fear, and you know, like
That
I never
scene where
seen those that appealing in my life, and a storyline and the acting was fantastic. Like I was like what 5 or 6 years old watching that movie, and I didn't see anyone in the audience my age. I was with my dad. Yeah, maybe people might say it's irresponsible to take a kid that young watching that movie. But the thing is that that movie, Christopher Nolan as a director, that's why I follow him. That's why I follow Christian Bale because they're both brilliant director and actor. They're both of them. And that's the thing. Once you go to a movie theater and the audience reacts to a movie in a positive way, that that's what propels the audience members to follow specific people.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. Funnily enough, Batman Begins was the first movie that I saw in the theaters too, or that I remember at least.
Well, twinsies.
And I gotta say that specific scene there at the end where he doesn't save Ra's al Ghul, that was something that I'll always remember. That was just a great scene and
For
a
me, it was
fantastic
a
movie.
scarecrow mask that scared the shit out of me.
What scared me more was Joker. Heath Ledger. I saw that in the theaters. That scared me too, even more than Scarecrow.
And as kids, watching superhero movies, uh, that really helps us and pushes us to leave our house and go watch these movies. Streaming services, going back to that, why I don't have it surpassing movie theaters is because there's only so much time you could spend in your house until you realize that it's really boring and you want to leave your house and go do something different and watch a movie and interact with people. You know, like, how long can you stay by yourself and really enjoy yourself, not talk to anybody or talk to like the same people in your household, and watch the same movies over and over again. And sometimes streaming services don't have good movies or TV shows that come out for a couple of months or weeks, and you watched everything that was appealing to you or that was critically good, and now there's nothing left to watch. And that's happening to me. It probably happens to a lot of people too, where we watch everything that we want to watch, and then we're like, oh man, what? Now I'm forced to watch this, and I'm like really pushing myself and forcing myself to watch this. And then once something else comes out that's really appealing, you completely forget about that thing. You never watch it again, and
Yeah,
that's a problem for me.
that's true.
You need to keep your audience always on the ball, always interested. You cannot have them for 1 month rewatching the same stuff over and over again, and their eyes are literally turning bloodshot red because they're just like watching the same thing, and they can literally memorize the scenes and words. And
Yeah,
you can't have that happening. That's my opinion. You need to always introduce new things, new movies. Yeah, you could bring back movies. You could take away movies on the streaming services, but you need to always keep your fans on their toes.
I agree with that. And I don't know if you ever go on the coming soon page of Netflix, but like maybe 10% of the time I'll say, oh man, this is going to be good. It's rare that when I'm scrolling through the upcoming arrivals that I'm thinking to myself, oh, I got to watch this. I think the first time in a while was a couple days ago. There was this movie that came out on Netflix. It's like 10 years old. It's called Zodiac. I
Yeah,
watched it. It was really good. Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark
yeah.
Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr. That was the first time I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie the day it comes out. But other times it's like these cartoons that are obviously directed towards kids, so I understand. But these other movies that I have no interest in, so I do agree with what you said. They really need to be on the ball, constantly putting out content uh, that they know their viewers will like. Same thing goes
Like,
for the movie theaters, right?
yeah, the movie theaters, at least them, you know, they have like three movies that are fantastic in 1 month, and then the other ones are just average, but they properly distribute it so people are always on the ball. So every month you're at least gonna have a big movie, you know, that's appealing for everybody. Maybe it's not gonna be as good as the previous month, but it's still considered a big blockbuster movie. And streaming services should take some notes on that and rip a page from the movie theaters philosophy and how they work.
Yeah,
But I
I agree.
think it's going to be an ongoing debate where these two are always going to be butting heads. And yeah, maybe we're going to see the revival of, you know, drive-in movie theaters more in the upcoming months. It already started,
I think
but
they're
maybe
already
it's going to
around
be,
actually.
yeah, it already started, but maybe it's going to be picking up more heat and more interest. And maybe we might go back to doing that. But the thing is that we live in Canada where it snows and people are not going to want to stay in their cars and watch movies. They're going to freeze their ass and uh, blast the heaters, and they're going to get sick. So whatever.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, uh, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I hope you had a good time, and I hope the viewers and subscribers, obviously, had a good time listening to our topic today. And there's many more to come, and I would love to have you back on the podcast talking about something else.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, you're a great dude. And subscribe to his channel.
Thank you so much. Really appreciated it. Anyways, to new viewers and people that are already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to go check out some past videos that might interest you. And do not forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.